I did not expect was how expensive it is to tour. You lose a lot of money. No one prepared me for the fact that it's normal for the first opener to lose thousands of dollars.
DIY.
So as many of you know, I just got off a tour as an independent artist. I shared a tour with my comrades. There were a lot of things that were exciting, including being in front of people, getting out of this studio for a second and going out to all these tour dates. We did a small West Coast swing of tour. Wasn't my first one. I've been on a few mini tours, and back in 2013 was my largest tour that I've been on with the homie Murs. 30-state tour, 2 months. It was a life-changing tour. However, we hear all the time that, yeah, you can make money on streaming, but it's very, very little. But the real money, the real money is when you get out there on tour. But there's a small little detail that they leave out about this real money on tour. There's a few details that we're going to get into, but I want to kind of let this content creator / alternative pop singer, Dev Lemons, I want her to break it down, because she's someone that's not only successful as an artist, so successful that she was brought on a recent tour to be the opener, but she's also someone who understands content creation. She got a rude awakening just about touring in general. Listen to her thoughts about, I believe, what is her first tour and just how expensive it can be.
The other main thing I did not expect was how expensive it is to tour, especially as an opener, especially as a first opener. It is so much. You lose money. You lose a lot of money. No one prepared me for the fact that it's normal for the first opener to lose thousands of dollars.
She's not lying. She's going to go on to explain a tour that has all of the proper people that you need in place. This is a more organized, a more professional tour than I guess most of us as independents and DIYers. If we don't have that team, we're the ones that are having to play the multiple responsibilities of a tour manager, of the booking agent, the show preparation, taking tickets at the door. Like, no matter what level it is of touring, that shit is expensive. The last tour that I was just on, I quickly recognized how easy it is to rack up debt before you even get to your first show. Hotel cost, adding gas, that's just the cost on the way. Let's not even talk about the cost of eating. If you don't bring things with you, or if you don't make a stop at a grocery store, you're at the mercy of whatever you have access to.
I thought that that touring was the way that you make money, because that's what everyone says, isn't it?
Facts.
It's like, oh, well, you don't make money off streaming. You're supposed to make money off touring. That's where all the real money is, right? So I was like flabbergasted when I was told that I was going to break even on this tour, that I was going to walk away just making no money. But to
breaking even, for some people, they probably would be just as excited at breaking even with how expensive these tours are as they would if they profited, because you're already starting in the red. This is not to discourage anybody from touring, but to give you the reality of what it is for every level of touring. It gets pricey, my friend.
lose thousands of dollars and not be prepared at all, not even realize how up in the air everything is with making the money back until I'm like in the tour and there's nothing I can do. It's like, if you're a full-time musician, how the hell do you afford to tour? I can only afford it because of the content stuff I've done.
She's saying the only reason that she's not tripping too bad on it is because she's still generating income off of her content. But think for a second about the people who are going on this tour and they need it to profit, because this is where they're going to get the next 6 months of their income from. It gets scary.
Music doesn't make me any money. And to clarify, again, like, this isn't anyone's fault on the tour. This is literally just how the industry is. This is the norm of the industry that is being monopolized by one fucking company that doesn't care about any of the people that keep its industry going.
She's talking about Live Nation, by the way.
Both the consumer and the fucking performers. They don't care. To actually play the show, you're only guaranteed $250 a night. When I was brought the opportunity...
And she got paid. Independently speaking, DIY speaking, there's not always a guarantee that there's going to be money for every time that you perform at a different place. Many times when it's an independent tour and it's not a whole lot of funding behind it or a major headliner, there's not a guarantee that you will be compensated for every stop. You're gathering debt every single location that you're able to get to. On that first tour that we went to, 2013, we did like fundraiser shows, we did money out of pocket, and we had expenses for the next 2 months that we had to prepare for, including renting a van, even with someone who had a discount because they worked at a renter car place. Even with a discount, that white van still was upwards of $5,000 to $7,000 at that point in time just to hold it for that amount of time. When you're not getting rooms ahead of time, it's more expensive. We didn't know any better because it was our first tour. We're not even taking into consideration the things that just pop up. Someone needs a new equipment from Guitar Center. The DJ needs a new needle. You get a flat tire. It's not for those who are easily discouraged.
I was told like, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money in merch though. And like, I'm going to break even, maybe even walk away making money. Like that's going to happen. Like I'm going to sell a lot of merch. So I was like, oh, okay. If it's being told to me as if it's like a given, then I'll just trust, I know nothing about this. I don't know what's normal. If you don't think this will financially cripple me and it's going to be like game changing to my career and I'm going to break even, then why not? And I get to see the country, make a lot of friends and fans and play my music live.
See, that's the part that I think pulls all of us in. God, I love being in front of people. I love performing music and getting real time reaction to the music that I'm performing. Every single one of those dates, I got a different perspective. A lot of you know that I make all of the music that I create these days, I do it in a live stream. And I got to see what that was like in front of an audience. And getting that connection, especially when you're really killing a show and you get that momentum, oh man, there's no feeling in the world like it. But as she talked about and alluded to earlier, a company like Live Nation has such a monopoly on venues. What happens when they have a monopoly on it is that changes the shows that an independent will have access to unless they go through that entity. And they're not always the most accessible to get to because everybody's trying to get to them. And that changes the quality of venues that are made available. If you're an independent, you're probably talking about dive bars. You're talking about in stores, right? At somebody's store where you're able to get a few speakers in there. They're not always the most acoustically friendly environments for live shows, but that's kind of in the tradition of hip hop. You take what you got and you get the most out of it.
What I realized once I got into the tour is like, oh, no, this merch stuff isn't a given. I just have to hope that people will buy the merch. I just have to hope that I did a good enough job that night that it'll convince people to not only check my music out after, but to spend money on my merch. It's like, when I really thought about it, I was like, the fact that people are buying my merch at all is like insane.
She's giving, once again, perspective of somebody who was opening up on a tour. When we were opening up on a tour, me and homie Noah James and the Black Cloud label were opening up for Murs at every location. It was not a given how many people were going to be there for us. Whoever was there at that show that we were opening up, we had to make a great enough impression upon them to buy something. We would hope it's a few CDs. We would hope it's merchandise. We would hope it's all the stuff that we brought with us. But we needed them to buy that just for us to be able to afford the next location. You don't know what you're going to get, but you still must set up shop and bring your merchandise because, once again, you never know what you're going to get. And I'm giving this message to producers because these are the artists that you are hoping to buy your beats. It's important to know what they're going through as well.
The idea behind all of this is like, oh, well, you're losing a lot of money, but the promotional benefit of the show is payment enough. Like, don't think of this as a money-making opportunity, even though that's what everyone says tour is. Think of it as a marketing trip.
See how they do, artists? You know what? Yeah, you're losing thousands and thousands of dollars, but don't look at it like that. Try to look at it as a great marketing ploy. So now we're traveling Facebook ads? We're banner ads that you can talk to? No.
Because in reality, tour isn't a money-making opportunity unless you're like in arenas, basically. It's almost always going to be a marketing trip. You're almost always going to lose money. You'll be so lucky if you break even on a headliner. If you kind of think about it like that, it starts to make a bit more sense. A lot of the time, these venues that are owned by this company, it's like, oh, if you make like a certain amount of money on merch, we're taking 20% of it. That's...
Nigga, when I tell you, I'm not here complaining because these are all blessings. These are all good problems. But when I tell you, first time we went to Portland, we had a great show. We sold hella merch. We making some bread independently. This shit is amazing. And then there was somebody that was from the venue we thought was security that was just watching. And at the end of the night, we had to account for how much money we made. and we had to put it down there in writing. And based upon however much money we made, I want to say it was like either a 15 or 20% tax on it. I thought we was getting robbed. No, this is a normal thing. In certain states, that is expected off top. So beyond you already not profiting, beyond you already investing all this money and going into debt, you can get hit with a state tax like you stepped in the wrong place on the Monopoly board.
Little Sims announced that she was canceling her U.S. tour in April of 2022. Do you remember the album she put out in 2021? It was huge. It was incredible. She had to cancel her tour in April 2022. Her U.S. tour, 11 shows. She was going to play 11 shows. And she can't even afford to do that because it's so expensive. Animal Collective had to cancel their Europe tour because of financial reasons. And it's like, okay, cool. Guess what? What? Now you have to get to a Shawn Mendes level of fame. Guess what? He's canceling tours too. Demi Lovato, never touring again.
Sheesh.
Harry Styles just said he's going on a 5-year break after this tour. He's done. He can't do it anymore. Maybe it's not because of money, but it's because their mental health. And it's not an easy decision to make. You have to get to a low to feel like you would rather cancel these tours. You know your fans are going to be disappointed. You know it's going to hurt your career. It's going to hurt your business relationships. You're going to have to figure out like refunding all these people. They're going to be pissed at you. And it's embarrassing for me to admit that I'm like so terrified for my headline tour.
I understand what you're going through. You have been blessed with a great opportunity to get out and physically meet people. A lot of folks who find success in the content creation space, they don't get these opportunities to actually be in front of people because companies have figured it out that a lot of these folks can make numbers go crazy online. They can't get nobody to the damn shows though. A lot of influencers don't actually have buying influence over their own audience. A lot of these folks in the audience want to see some of their favorite influencers just shake their ass and that's it. A lot of these favorite influencers just want these rappers to rap in double time and beef with people and just, that's all I want from you. I don't want to see you lie. So I have to refer to my guy, Mark Rebelit. I think he has the answer to what Dev Lemons is asking about. What am I going to do? And if you don't know who he is, he has probably one of the craziest live shows that you're going to see. He uses like the looper machine. He's going to explain to you how he kind of rose to fame in a crazy way during the pandemic.
Right when the whole lockdown happened, I was supposed to go to Australia and do an Australia-New Zealand tour. It was going to be the first time I was going over there. And we had to make like a 24-hour call to postpone the tour because it was like there's this virus, we're not really sure what's going on, maybe we can play, maybe not. It ended up being a good call, obviously, because the entire world shut down.
When the pandemic first cracked off and we didn't know how long the lockdowns would last, we didn't know what the lockdowns would look like, he was getting ready to go on a tour in Australia. Dates were already booked. They were preparing for it. He was preparing for it. And then the lockdown happened and all travel was discontinued. People were told to stay home. And he's sitting there trying to figure out, well, what's my next move? Well, here's what he did.
And anyway, I ended up back in my apartment in New York with nothing to do. So I decided to mimic those tour dates online. Basically, I remade the Australia tour schedule in the form of live streams.
He took all those dates where people expected to see him perform and turned those dates into days that he was going to live stream. And he did from his living room. If you ever seen his live show, this dude is crazy. He did these shows live from his living room when everybody else was in their living room, in their house, and it went crazy.
I had already been doing these live streams for a couple years, but in the pandemic, it just fit really naturally. I started doing them every week. People started tuning in higher numbers, and I essentially doubled my audience during the pandemic, which is an absurd thing that not many artists were lucky enough to be able to swing.
I say this to say not that live shows are going to be dead. I was sitting at every one of these shows and I was given a new perspective on things. I was looking around at these shows and looking at the audience and trying to see what did this person come here for this show for? Even with my shows themselves, I was trying to make sure that no stone was left unturned. I was changing the format of my songs. I was making certain things shorter. I was making certain things that they seemed to really enjoy. I was making those longer, and I was changing these as soon as I got back home. There were things that I was changing in real time, things that I was noticing man, could it be that the traditional hip hop show that you didn't used to have to do a whole lot, could it be that the viewing habits and the reasons why people come out to shows have changed dramatically after the pandemic. What can we do? Is there things that we can do where we can be more involved into the community? Is there things that we can do in terms of incorporating influencers to be at these shows? Are there things that we can do in terms of live streaming? Should we live stream or should we not live stream? Because then people can just enjoy it from home. And then it dawned on me. That's what people are doing already. People are enjoying any experience that they can think of from home. Because at one point in time, they were forced to do that. We're not just competing with other shows in the area. We're competing with Netflix, we're competing with Hulu, we're competing with YouTube, we're competing with that soft pillow, that comfortable bed that they could be laying on, as opposed to standing for 5 or 6 hours waiting for us to rap and yell at them with the microphone in our hand. The way that we can shift with it is what Mark suggested. Give them an experience from home. This is not a new concept. Get yourself to a position where you can give somebody that experience right from their living room, and they will make purchases. They'll have inquiries into your merchandise the way that they would if they were passing by your merch booth. It's not a novel concept, but it is one that I think is going to dominate as we start to get further and further into our independent ventures. I'm at the point now where I'm looking at one of the rooms that we have in the house. I'm going to convert that room into a live performance room so that I can do shows, basically give experiences that would require me to be in the same city as you to have. There's even websites that allow you to put it behind a paywall. Every artist, every musician, that is going to be the norm, if it's not already the norm. If you intend to profit, you must incorporate that into what you're doing. Do it from your bedroom. Better yet, do it yourself. Those are my long-winded thoughts. It's probably a longer video that we've done in quite some time, but it was a worthy concept that I think needed to be broken down. Those are my thoughts, though. What are your thoughts? DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Don't be greedy. Peace.